Okay, hello. For this video, I'm going to basically generating a 3D head using this software application. So this is one of my favorite applications. It's Mixamo Fuse. So I love making 3D art and I love making 3D characters. While we've had some technological advances, such as like AI generative tools and things, this program's been around for over a decade. It's fantastic. It's pretty basic, but it does what it does fantastically well. In fact, so much so that this program, again, is called Mixamo Fuse. That may sound familiar. Mixamo was a company that was bought by Adobe. They essentially killed this program, which is a real bummer. But because they did, this program now is abandonware, so it's free on Steam. If you like making your own custom characters, I highly suggest this one. There are lots of other alternatives and stuff, but I like that this one is, again, essentially abandoned. So it's completely free. You don't have to pay for anything, and it's a very robust character creation system, especially if you're planning on using 3ds Max or some other tool to work with. Again, these models, there isn't much you can do in here. They're meant to be rigged, they're meant to be animated, they're meant to be put in games and other things. So it's a pretty cool utility for that. So again, if you want the access to this, it's through Steam. You have to have Steam, a Steam account. It's in the store. It's completely free. They actually have a DLC expansion pack that adds the orc here and the troll model, as well as some of these Team Fortress 2 models and a few more options in there, which is also free and abandoned. Now there is a little anime button here. This was meant to use Mixamo's auto rigging tools. Those are still in existence by Adobe. So if that name sounds familiar, it's because we have talked about the Mixamo rigging tools. So if you're wanting to use this character, you can create it here, export it, and upload it to Mixamo for the auto rigging tools. For what we're doing is we're doing facial animation. So I'm just going to pick one of these heads. Now, originally I was going to pick one of these Team Fortress 2 heads, but after playing with it a bit, we got some really weird geometry happening on the mouth. So they are not apparently rigged very well for that. So I'm going to pick one of these other heads for us to play with. Again, it doesn't really matter which one we pick. I'll just do male fit B here. Oh, I kind of like this guy with all his wrinkles. All right, so here we have our guy. Now I can keep building the character. For this, I'm not going to. Again, once we pick our head, I'm going to leave it as a floating head. Because we're doing facial animation, the simpler the model, the easier it's going to be for making your different head shapes. One extra cool thing about this program is it's kind of set up the same way as what we're going to do in Max. So in Max, what we're doing is using the morpher, and the morph mixer allows us to actually take vertices and move their position within the global coordinates. So, for example, this shape, this model is comprised of all the vertexes. Each of those vertices has an actual space in 3D shape, which gives it this shape. We can move those by using the move tool, right? But it's all math-based. So when we move them, it actually changes the numerical values. What we can do is we can animate that. So to help illustrate this too, I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. So I'm going to go File, Export Model as Object. I'm going to turn off these things here. So I made this one earlier. Let me go ahead and delete that. So I made a folder called Face Guy. I know, not very creative, but I'm going to call this Head Base. Save. Now what's cool is there are already sliders built in here. And so these sliders work exactly like the tools that we're going to build in Max. What's cool though is we can animate them in Max. Now, this one's pretty neat. It doesn't have a lot of complex options because it's not really meant for animation, but we can use it as a starting point. So for example, if I use the mouth open, I can change the mouth shape. So maybe if he were going to say, oh, or some sort of sound like that, again, I can make his mouth shaped based off those phenom shapes for our mouth animation. Let's go ahead and export. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck these. Okay. You see there's my head base. I'm going to give it a nice descriptive name and export. I want to do a little bit. So we can do all kinds of fun stuff. Maybe I want to, let's see. I don't know if I want to do that just yet. Let's stick to face, I think, for now. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough today. All right, so we're happy with it. Save it out. This might actually work well for an F with a little bit of adjustment. Maybe something like that looks pretty good. Now we got to be careful if we're getting a little mixing these. Sometimes will cause some funky things happening. Looks like I got a little bit of clipping through the nose there, which seems odd. I don't know if I want to change the nostril shape. Or if I did, I should have done it earlier. Anyway, we won't change that. Let's just see if we can get, again, a good face shape. All right, I don't know, good enough. Again, I don't want a different folder for all of these things. We're going to say slight smile. And then we'll make a real crazy one next. And again, I feel like we'll make him angry. Lower smiling. Smiling. It's a little bit tricky. There we go. Let's go to angry face. Again, I'm trying to put all these models in the same folder. So we'll say angry. That should give us a good range. And of course, there are not going to be every shape we need. We're going to have to make some, but you get the idea. All right. And save. So I have a folder with all of these different instances of this head. In theory, this should work because they hopefully will have the same vertex values when we import it. If not, we'll have to play around with it a little bit when we get in there, maybe even make our shapes ourselves. But either way, whether we have to make our own shapes or we can utilize these shapes, you can see that we, again, can use this tool to make our own 3D head. For the assignment, you don't have to use this tool at all. You just have to use a 3D head you found. And again, the lower polygon the head, the more simple, the kind of easier it might be because it has less vertices to move around. So just keep that in mind.